So a little while back, I had a call with a guy named Justin. Hey, Justin. And he was looking to buy a Cessna 182. And he was like right on the fence. He said, look, I think this is the airplane for me. I'm really interested in it, but I just really want to talk to someone who actually owns one and get your perspective. And I said, okay, well, you just want me to talk you into a 182? And he goes, yeah, basically, I'm there. I just need to get over the hump. I was like, all right, I would love to talk you into this airplane because I've owned mine for almost 9 years. It's a 1975. It's a great airplane. And I've demoed the new one a couple of years ago. And all of them are sweet. Like, I can't say enough good things about the 182. I'll share a couple negatives at the end, but I wanted to kind of re-record what I told Justin because I think it'll hopefully help some of you out there too, because this airplane is sweet. So the superpower of the Cessna 182 is this. It's not great or a winner at any one thing, but it is one of the few airplanes that is good at almost everything. You think about speed, useful load, range, short field capability, approachability in terms of how easy it is to fly. Can you get good maintenance on it? Is there a lot of inventory? Are there a lot of comps? Like all of that. Like it doesn't win in any one of those categories, but I promise if you look at all the different general aviation airplanes out there and you say, okay, what airplanes have good range? The 182 will be on there. Which ones are like semi-fast? Well, the 182 won't be a winner, but it'll be on the list. Useful load, it'll be on the list. Like it's the one airplane that just won't go away. Like it's always there, and that really is its superpower. And most airplanes are only good at like one or two of those, but the 182 is good at a lot of different things. And that's why it can fit such a wide range of missions. Like it's perfect for someone who wants to mostly fly around the pattern and maybe go get a hamburger, and then like 2 times a year, they want to fly at 500 miles with family and go do stuff and maybe land in the backcountry. And they don't want it to be complete overkill in the meantime while they're flying solo. They want it to be relatively budget friendly. All aviation is expensive, but just in the scheme of aviation, it's budget friendly. The 182s are. And so that's why it fits such a wide mission profile, because it's good at a little bit of everything. So I live in Dallas and I've flown my 182 to and from Idaho, Florida, Arkansas, which with a lot of grass strip stuff there, which is so fun. New Mexico, Big Bend, Texas, Wisconsin, Tennessee. I mean, like all over the country. But then I've also flown it countless times just around the Dallas Metroplex here for fun. And it is great at that whole range of things. It's not overkill when I'm just flying around by myself, and it's not overly expensive for that. But then if I want to go far or I want to go backcountry, it can do all of that. It has a really wide mission profile. So on speed, you're probably looking at around 140 knots or so. Mine's a little bit slower than that, but then the newer ones are 140 all day. If you have any sort of modifications or a bigger engine, you might be pushing in the 150s or something like that. But 140 is a good anchor point, which I don't think is like really fast, but it's definitely not slow. Like if you're used to flying around smaller airplanes, Cubs and 172s and stuff, like you're gonna be outrunning them all day. And so I found that it's enough speed to like get you places reasonably fast, but I wouldn't call it fast. Like you're not flying Cirrus or Mooney speeds or Bonanza speeds or something like that, but there's trade-offs. Like you get a lot of things that those airplanes can't do. And so you really have to think about your average mission, but from your speed perspective, I've always found it to be very reasonable. And on useful load, I have found this to be really reasonable as well. Like I feel like I can carry a decent amount. So just for some math here, my airplane with full fuel, which is 75 gallons, which is usually overkill for just about any mission, but with full fuel, I can carry just under 700 pounds. And then if I go to half fuel, which is still several hours of fuel, I can carry just under 900 pounds. So it's a 4-seat airplane that can actually carry 4 people and stuff. Usually if you see 4 seats in an airplane, like the airplane won't realistically carry 4 people and bags and fuel to do anything. But the 182 is actually an exception to that. It's a true 4-place airplane. So the useful load, I've never run into useful load issues. I've run into other issues, which I'll share in a second, but useful load has usually never been the challenge. But my favorite part of the mission profile of the 182 is that not only is it reasonably fast and it can carry a decent amount, it can actually go really interesting places. And so it's totally backcountry capable. And my favorite and best adventures in the air have come when you're landing at backcountry places or even just grass strips. It doesn't have to be like true backcountry, but even just going to grass airstrips. And so the 182 is super comfortable to go fly hundreds of miles to a cool place and then keep it light when you get there and go explore some really interesting places. Arkansas is one of my favorite underrated places in the whole country. Northern Arkansas, some really, really cool strips to go explore, and the 182 can access the vast majority of them, and it does really well. And then you can take it back to the city, and it lands great on pavement too. So there's a lot of airplanes that can carry a decent amount and then go fast or they can go far, but you're really limited to pavement or like perfectly manicured grass, and the 182 is not. It's got a little Jeep nature to it. It's not like totally a Jeep, but it can be a Jeep when it wants to be. It's kind of a chameleon. It can do a lot of different things. So if you're considering getting something a little bit smaller, like a 172 or something like that, but you think, man, I don't know, I might want to do the 182 mission at some point. I might want that extra horsepower. I might need to actually carry 4 people, or I might want to go explore the backcountry and have, more capability and stuff. I would just say, like, go for the 182. You'll never regret it. I've never met a 182 owner that's ever been like, I don't know, that just wasn't a very good airplane. Like, everyone loves a 182. The only reason people really move out of it is because maybe their mission changes. And so, like, maybe they consistently need to go 500 miles. They need to get there quickly. Well, it's not the 182's fault that it's not really built for that. Just the person's mission changed. So if you think you might need the mission of a 182, find a way to get the 182. And then if you need some sort of financial justification for it, there's a couple pros of the 182. One is that pretty much every mechanic in the country can work on a 182, and they probably already have worked on a 182 before. They're everywhere, and they're really familiar, and parts are readily available. The other thing is, because they've made so many of them, there's so many out in the marketplace, the inventory is usually pretty good. And so not only does that give you a lot to choose from, at any point in time, the thing that I really love about that is you can build up really, really good comps. So I've talked about it in some of my other videos. If you're gonna buy a plane, I really encourage you to build a comps, like a comparable worksheet where you can start to understand, okay, maybe why was that airplane priced that way? Well, it had lower engine time or a new engine, or this had hail damage or whatever. You start to figure out, like, how is the market pricing these? And so even if you're not gonna buy into the 182s that you currently see on Trade-A-Plane or something, you could go inventory all of them. There's probably 50 or 100 or something of them right now. Actually, go look. Okay, actually I just looked, and right now there's 171 182s, and if you include the turbos, there's another 35 on top of that. So, over 150, maybe 200 182s on the marketplace right now, where you could go inventory all of those and try to understand what's driving the price. And so it's just a really, really great airplane to buy. There are a couple downsides that I'll be honest about, and I can say this having owned one for almost 9 years. The first issue I've run into is space, and I usually run into a space problem before I run into a useful load problem. So perfect example right now, I've got a 2 and 3 year old, and if we want to travel with them and take the car seats and stuff, like, it's a lot. And I know there's probably some troll out there like, oh, just rent the car seat when you get there. And like, yeah, that's true. But the point is, if you need like big, bulky things and you need to fill up all 4 seats, it could be a stretch for the 182. Like, it's got, the cargo area in it is good, not great. It's nothing to write home about. But if you have a bunch of soft bags and stuff, like, it stacks up great back there. But if you're taking bulky stuff, like I have found myself starting to daydream about a 206, because you think about that 3rd row bench seat that you can take out and you're just left with like days of room back there.
This is huge. You can like crawl in the whole thing and disappear.
I do start to find the immense value of that. So you might run into some space issues with the 182. That being said, if you're not carrying a bunch of bulky stuff, like the back seat is super comfortable. When the pilot and co-pilot scoot up, there is tons of leg room. So it's definitely a comfortable airplane, but if you're filling the seats and you need to load it down with crap, like, you might run into space issues, even though it probably has the useful load to pull it off. The next possible downside is speed. If you're used to going 170 plus knots, coming back down to 130, 140 knots is gonna feel slow to you. But if you're used to going 100 miles an hour in a training airplane, like 140 knots is gonna feel like a rocket ship to you. So I think it's just a matter of perspective, but I think the more practical way to think about it is really just think about your average mission. Like, if on average you're going 200 miles tops, like going 140 knots versus 170 knots is not gonna be that big of a difference. It might be a 25-minute difference in flight time or something, but you're also gotta think about the ground time. Like, you're gonna have the same amount of ground time both in your departure and your destination, regardless of how fast the airplane is. And so it's really not that big of a difference. You really just have to think about it from a practical perspective. And I found that 140 knots is definitely not bad. But for the space and speed concerns, those have been the downsides for me. I have started to think about the 206 that I think solves that without actually losing any of that backcountry capability. I'll show it on screen. Like, I got to demo the 206 with Cessna, and it is an amazing airplane. It's also a lot more expensive, and you burn more fuel and things. So it's all about trade-offs. And I've found that the 182, I have had to make the least amount of trade-offs because it's good at range, it's good at useful load, it's decent at speed, it's good at backcountry. It does all of these things while still not burning a ton of fuel. And in the scheme of aviation, it's relatively affordable. It's not as expensive as some other airplanes. And so I've had to make the least amount of trade-offs, I think, for the 182. It has been an awesome awesome airplane. Now, if you're serious about buying a 182 or any airplane really, either now or in the future, there's a few really, really important things that you want to think through ahead of time that can save you time and money and headache. And in the video on the screen, I walk you through steps A through Z of buying an airplane that I promise can help you through this process. So if you're interested in buying an airplane, I hope you'll check out this video, and I'll see you there.